The president did something agile and wise the other day, and something quite important to the health of our politics. He reached up and snuffed out what some folks wanted to make into a cosmic battle between good and evil. No, said the president, we're not going to turn the argument over contraception into Armageddon. This is an honest difference between Americans, and I'll not see it escalated into a holy war. So instead of the government requiring Catholic hospitals and other faith-based institutions to provide employees with health coverage involving contraceptives, the insurance companies will offer that coverage and offer it free. The Catholic bishops had cast the president's intended policy as an infringement on their religious freedom. They hold birth control to be a mortal sin and were incensed that the government might coerce them to treat it otherwise. The president, in effect, said, no quarrel there. No one's going to force you to violate your doctrine. But Catholics are also Americans, and if an individual Catholic worker wants coverage, she should have access to it, just like any other American citizen. Under the new plan, she will. She can go directly to the insurer, and the religious institution is off the hook. When the president announced his new plan, the bishops were caught flat-footed. It was so reasonable. In fact, leaders of several large Catholic organizations have now said yes to the idea. But the bishops have since regrouped and are now opposing any mandate to provide contraceptives, even if their institutions are not required to pay for them. And for their own reasons, Republican leaders in Congress have weighed in on the bishop's side. They're demanding and will get a vote in the Senate.
The fact that the White House thinks this is about contraception is the whole problem. It's about freedom of religion. It's right there in the First Amendment. You can't miss it. Right there in the very first amendment to our Constitution. And the government doesn't get to decide for religious people what their religious beliefs are. They get to decide that.
But here's what Republicans don't get, or won't tell you, and what Obama manifestly does get. First, the war is already lost. 98% of Catholic women of childbearing age have used contraceptives. Second, on many major issues, the bishops are on Obama's side, not least on extending unemployment benefits, which they call a moral obligation. Truth to tell, on economic issues, the bishops are often to the left of some leading Democrats, even if both sides are loath to admit it. Furthermore, and don't repeat this, even if the president already has, the Catholic Church funded Obama's first community organizing back in Chicago. Politics. So the battle over contraception no longer seems apocalyptic. No heavenly host pitted against the forces of Satan. It's a political brawl, not a crusade of believers or infidels. The president skillfully negotiated the line between respect for the religious sphere and protection of the spiritual dignity and freedom of individuals. If you listen carefully to the speech Barack Obama made in 2009 at the University of Notre Dame, you could have seen it coming.
The soldier and the lawyer may both love this country with equal passion and yet reach very different conclusions on the specific steps needed to protect us from harm. The gay activist and the evangelical pastor may both deplore the ravages of HIV/AIDS, but find themselves unable to bridge the cultural divide that might unite their efforts. Those who speak out against stem cell research may be rooted in an admirable conviction about the sacredness of life, but so are the parents of a child with juvenile diabetes who are convinced that their son's or daughter's hardships might be relieved. The question then is, how do we work through these conflicts?
We Americans have wrestled with that question from the beginning. Some of our forebears feared the church would corrupt the state. Others feared the state would corrupt the church. It's been a real tug-of-war, sometimes quite ugly. Churches and religious zealots did get punitive laws passed against what they said were moral and religious evils: blasphemy, breaking the Sabbath, alcohol, gambling, books, movies, plays, and yes, contraception. But churches also fought to end slavery, help workers organize, and pass progressive laws. Of course, government had its favorites at times. For much of our history, it privileged the Protestant majority. And in my lifetime alone, it's gone back and forth on how to apply the First Amendment to ever-changing circumstances among people so different from each other. The Supreme Court, for example, first denied, then affirmed the right of the children of Jehovah's Witnesses to refuse on religious grounds to salute the flag. So here we are, once again, arguing over how to honor religious liberty without it becoming the liberty to impose on others moral beliefs they don't share. Our practical solution is the one Barack Obama embraced the other day. Protect freedom of religion and protect freedom from religion. Can't get more American than that. I'm Bill Moyers.